wonderful to be with so many of you today. My goodness, there must be something in the air. I think it's the first day of fall, someone told me today. So maybe that's just, like, gosh, I mean, this end of this year thing is coming up and this pandemic isn't going away. And so, let me lean into this and get busy and, make this final quarter that's coming up here in the next week or so, the best, right? The best to be remembered. So, with all the things we want to forget about the year, we've got what's in front of us. And so I'm really excited to be sharing this time with you today and doing some laser coaching. I'm taking all kinds of questions that, have come from all over the place. So really excited. Just want you to know that if you ever, have a question that you want me to ask, you can always send it to info at eWomenNetwork.com, info at eWomenNetwork.com, and I will consider your questions for next month. How about that? Okay, let's just do a quick check here. Want to make sure that you can all hear me, just so that I'm not talking to myself like I used to when the kids were home. Okay, Denise. Hi, Denise. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yes, Kara. Oh, my God. Cass Mullane. Oh, my gosh. I'm with girlfriends. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Okay. So wonderful to be with you all today. Let's dive in so that we can focus on the things that really matter. Just want to make sure that we're connected if we aren't outside of this call. So if if you're checking in for the very first time, you're like, who is Sandra Yancey and what is this thing called eWomen Network? I do this call every single month. I've been doing them we just celebrated our 20th birthday on Friday. I think I've been doing them for 17, 18 years. I mean, like clockwork. I think in this time period, maybe one time I remember I'd lost my voice, and another time I think I just had the flu or something. But I really show up for these calls. I love to be with you. So I just want you to know that I still stay engaged with you in between these calls. These calls happening on the third Monday of every month. So I just want you to know I'm all over Twitter. Whatever I post on Twitter, I don't post on, Instagram, which is what I don't post on my Facebook page. So whatever is your digital marketing channel of choice, I'm there and would invite to connect with you. Same way with LinkedIn. But on Twitter, it's Sandra Yancey, EWN. On Facebook, it's Sandra Yancey, EWN. On Instagram, it's just Sandra Yancey. How about that? And all you have to do is add the E in Yancey. Just don't forget about that, or you'll get the wrong one. So I'm going to do a sound check. Someone says they can't hear me. So can you tell me if you can hear me now? Let's just do a quick sound check again. Someone says you can't hear me. Yep. So now I know it's on their end. Sorry about that. And of course, because she can't hear me, she doesn't know I just said that. But still, I just want to make sure most of you can hear me. Okay. So also want to make sure that you are connected not only with me and eWomen Network, but you definitely want to make sure that you're connected with us and our tribe on our corporate Facebook page, because we have like 166,883 people following us there. So it's just a really great way for you to understand that A, you're not alone, no matter where you are in the world. And B, even if you have a local business, let me just tell you, some of my best ideas have come from people that aren't in my local city. Remember when I started eWomen Network, I was the first managing director running the first chapter. And so I was a local business, but because I was open to what was going on in the world around me, I kept saying, ooh, I love that. No one's doing that here where I am. And I'll put my spin on it, my flavor on it, adapt versus adopt. And before you know it, here I am 20 years later. And we have a global network, not only United States and Canada, but also the United Kingdom and Australia. So just don't underestimate where a really great idea can come from and where support can come from too. All right, we're a values-based organization. I learned this from one of my mentors turned girlfriend. And what I will tell you is Dina Dwyer Owens told me that if you don't know what you stand for, basically it's easy to fall for anything. And the time to get clear on your values, what you stand for, is when you're small. Because the more successful you become, here's the one thing I can promise you, the more people who have the perfect idea and opportunity for you are going to come your way. Not all people are the right people, right? Not all opportunities are the right opportunities. And so sometimes for those of you that struggle with what do I say yes to versus what do I say no to, when you're really clear on your values, you have to know what your mission is, right? And that's what you stand for, what you want to accomplish. And your values tells you, who you want to be in partnership with, in collaboration with, and who you don't, right? And this is just such a critical part. I mean, I think people, we don't put it in the drawers. Every single employee has it framed and on his or her desk, right? Any meeting with over 2 people, we cover our values. So take a deep breath. Those of you that know me and are comfortable with the eWomen Network environment, might be even an opportunity for you to close your eyes as long as you don't doze off, okay? But just, right, smell the coffee and blow out the candles. At eWomen Network, we are committed to 9 things. 1, giving first and sharing always, and empowering you, right, to thrive in an environment of 3 things: encouragement, kindness, and empathy. We're also committed to lifting you as we climb, to foster prosperity, right? There's enough for everyone. Growth. It's important to continue to grow. And of course, to have fiscal responsibility. We are also committed to teamwork to make the dream work, right? No one makes it alone. So we do that through respect, cooperation, and my favorite word, accountability, right? We are committed to providing exceptional products, services, resources, and remarkable experiences through innovation, education, and continuous improvement. So if you don't like change, you're not going to like eWomen Network, because we're constantly shifting and growing and changing, all in the spirit of innovation, continuous improvement. Okay, we are committed to respectful and transparent communication, guided by the rule of good intention. We are committed to being reliable, responsive, and engaged. We listen and seek win-win outcomes. Sometimes we just have to agree to disagree, right? But when we agree to disagree, there always has to be someone who says, but I need you to support this ultimate decision. Okay, we are committed to being a professional organization that fosters integrity, honesty, and trust. We are committed to being an inclusive network that cultivates diversity in a community environment where one can truly belong, where everyone can truly belong, right? And we are committed to happiness, fun, self-care, and life balance. Okay, we have our mission, and what we are focused on is helping 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. And if you don't want to achieve $1 million, but you're in that mark between 0 and $100 million, you're still in the right place, right? And sometimes we have to grow into what we're really capable of doing. I didn't know, had no clue that, and actually could not have fathomed the thought that I would ever develop into the woman that I think my higher power, wanted me to be. I just kept moving and kept growing and kept developing into the person that I am today. And I'm not done. I'm not done. So if that's you and you're just like, I'm not sure where I'm going to go. First of all, I'm going to help you fix that. Okay? Because if I would have known earlier and had the skills earlier to have really been able to claim my big dream, my big vision, I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how to dream that big. And once I started surrounding myself with other people who helped me expand my dream, then I just felt like the universe was conspiring to make it so. Okay, so I'm gonna help you with that too. All right. My mother used to say, "To whom much is given, much is required." Right, and I feel like, once you're in the catbird seat and you've got something good going on and you've learned your lessons, right? It's important for you to share it with the world. Totally important. People that are looking for you to learn from you. Okay, I have a section that I call Ask Sandra. I started this with my very high-end coaching program called SOAR. It's really, CEO success mastery, how to become a CEO, which is very different than just being a business owner. How do you step into this bigger role instead of, actions and behaviors and that kind of thing. And so, we coined ask for access Sandra's knowledge. And so I'm taking that now and using it in ways that help serve everyone. So you've submitted questions to me, and I pick 5 or 6 of them a month and provide what I call laser coaching, giving you, specific answers that might help you apply them in your own business. So the first question that came in is from Wendy Dickinson out of Richmond, Virginia. And she asked me, in your experience, what are the top 3 most revenue generating activities? So what she's responding to is she's obviously heard me speak before, and I'm always talking about how as the CEO, your job ultimately is to do only the things that only you can do. So let me just say that again. Your job ultimately is to do only the things that only you can do. That should be your goal as a CEO. It takes a while to do that. And we, as women, what I can tell you, not that men don't have this issue either, but I do know that it's a strong female issue. And it's that because we can do so much, it's easy for us to just do it. And what I know to be true is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay, it means that you have even more of a job in discerning what you allow suck up your time, because there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Like I always tell myself, Beyonce woke up today and she's got 1,440 minutes. What is she doing with her time that I'm not doing? And you can put that for anybody that you admire or that you see is just really kicking it out there in the world, no matter what their genre or occupation is of choice, right? What is it that they're doing with their time? And one of the things I know they're not doing is getting sucked into what I call the administrivia, right, of owning a business. So, it happens over time, but if you never know this to be a goal, you'll never know it to set a goal and to be conscious of how you're getting sucked into things that really don't either matter or they don't really move the needle on the dial, move the business forward. So I always say that's your goal, number 1. Number 2, every day, at the end of the day, I always say to myself, what are the 3 most important things that I need to do tomorrow that makes the cash register ring, that grows the business, right? And so I focus on those 3 things so that when I wake up in the morning, I already know what my 3 objectives are. Now, what I can tell you is that I make a commitment, because you and I, when we're the CEOs of our business, we don't have, a boss that is saying this has to get done today. And so we have to set that for ourselves. We can't do unto others what we're not willing to do unto ourselves. So we can't tell other people to make things a priority if we're not making things a priority. That becomes an integrity issue that even if they don't know, it plays out in the form of karma. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like when people just learn and they don't take action, whether you realize it or not, you're setting it out in the universe. And chances are you spend a lot of time talking to people who you can help, and you want them to take action to hire you, but they just keep talking to you and they never take action. What you don't realize is that you're setting up that situation when you're not taking action. So when things aren't working out for me, one of the things I always ask myself is, how am I contributing to this problem, to this mess? And so when I set 3 things, then I become my own boss and I say, okay, Sandra, you're not going to bed until you get these 3 things done. You might go home from the office, but you're not going to bed until these 3 things are done. Well, it doesn't take too many times, at least for me. Can I just say, it doesn't take too many times for me to, have to be up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for me to say, I'm not doing this anymore. Something's got to change. Something's got to change. And what I've learned is that It's rare. Now, I could be working on a major deliverable or the conference or something like that. There are seasonal things that I know, are just going to be a huge, time suck, if you will. But, generally speaking, I make sure I get my three main things done so that I can, go home and have dinner and, do some things personally that, doesn't require me to be at my desk till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't take, if you just can commit to that, you'll probably find for the first couple of times you might be up late, but that's just going to be the trigger for you, on how easy it is to get sucked into things that really don't matter. So to be specific to Wendy's, so that's an important setup so that you understand where this question is coming from, right? But to be specific to her answer, what are the three top most important revenue generating activities? For me, they are first, lead generation. So I'm always doing things that are generating, and growing the community. I'm also doing things to keep the community that I have. So to be very specific, this call is one of them. It's the reason why I do this call, on the third Monday of every month. Number one, most importantly, I want to take care of the community that I already have. So I always make sure the members know, first and foremost, that they are invited to this call. And many of you on this line are members of eWomenNetwork. Am I right? Would you put yes in the chat if you're a member of eWomenNetwork? So what I want you to know is part of the reason why I put the time and effort into this call. Cindy, I hear you. Allison, I see you, right? You're all coming in. Kara, Amy, right? I see you coming in. So the point of the matter is I want you to know that first and foremost, you are at the top of my mind. What is it that I can do for free? I can't do everything for free, and neither can you, and it would be reckless for me to model that for you, right? How can I ask you to grow into the $1 million business, and then I show up and do everything for free, but that doesn't mean I can't do some things for free. So I model this as a way to show you I value you, I care about you, and I want to show up for you every single month. And while I know you all have really wonderful relationships with your managing directors, what I also know is I've got a ton of people that are members of eWomenNetwork that don't know anything about this concept called chapters. They're only connected to us online. So I want to show up for them too. And I want you all to know that I want to have a relationship with you. Right? I'm glad and thrilled that you have your local community, but I want to be in relationship with you too. And this is a way for me to do that. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's one. The other side of the coin, though, is that this is also a form of lead generation. There are many of you that are on this call for the very first time that are just either hearing about eWomenNetwork or have heard about it for a long time and just now really ready to check us out, or you've heard about me, but you've had no interaction with me whatsoever. And you're like, oh my gosh, who is this Sandra? Maybe I can attend a free webinar and get to know her point of view, whether I resonate with her or not. I mean, there are 7.5 billion people on the planet. You can't want to think that everybody is going to, jive with you. You have to show up to find those that do. And with 7.5 billion people on the planet, there's enough for all of us, right? Am I right? So it's a sort. I mean, I think one of the problems I feel like so many small business owners make is, they choose people that aren't really choosing them. In other words, we get so sometimes desperate to, close a client that we get into convincing mode. Have you ever felt like you've convinced somebody to become, a customer and then you regret it? She or he is never happy. You never do enough. They are always asking for a discount. They're always complaining about your prices. You make a mistake, right? And then what do? They then, gotcha. What are you going to do for me that's free? What's my free bonus since you made a mistake? Those aren't your people. They're not your people. And they're not bad people. They're just not your people. Do you understand the sort? It's a sorting process. What would it be like for you if you could create a community of people that really appreciated what you do and valued you? I always call it's not list building, it's lust building finding your dream tribe that when you do put something out there, they automatically want to sign up for it. Not everything can be for free, and they know that. And you're teaching them, you're modeling what it is that you want from them. So, the three most important revenue generating activities are: one, lead generation. I'm always doing things. I write, 15 hours of free content every single month. Number two, I'm always following up. Your future and your fortunes in your follow up. That's a quote that's been out forever and a day. Point of the matter is, are you following up? Are you taking time to reply to the people for the relationships that you have created, right? And you're doing it not always in a way that's selling, but always in a way in relationship building. All business is about relationships. I just happened to create a business that, relationships was my business, right? But all business is about relationships. So how do you show up and, it's kind of, I think of like you're always planting seeds and you're always watering the seeds, and some sprout, early, and maybe not even last that long, right? Some sprout late, but they have strong roots. Sometimes you get a twofer, right? Where you get multiple people, right, that come in with their tribe. They're just a natural, oh my gosh, I found out about this amazing, woman, Barbara, and you need to meet her and come with me, and she's doing something, and I want you there, and you're my accountability buddy anyway, and just you get a twofer or a threefer or a fourfer. The point of the matter is you just keep watering, and some sprout and some don't sprout. I always talk about some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. Don't worry about doing things that are for free, and the same people you notice, they're like always downloading your free stuff. Those are the people on the sidelines. They're not only doing that with you, they're doing that with everyone else. Don't take it personal. Don't use that as a way to not show up, right? And serve deeply and let people know what you stand for, your value proposition, what has made you successful, the lessons you've learned from your mistakes or the messes that you've been, how you've overcome it. You just want to pay attention to the low hanging fruit, right? The people that are on the verge. And some people are fast action takers, and they're going to jump on with one conversation, right? And we have people all the time that join eWomenNetwork without ever having gone to an eWomenNetwork event, right? The fast action takers. And then there are people that are going to go and then talk to someone else and talk to the managing director and then maybe attend one more time. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It's okay. You just have to know your boundaries and keep showing up. So lead generation, following up. And then I think the third most important thing is, how often are you actually inviting people to do business with you? Are you waiting for them to say, I'm ready? Or are you going, I feel like you're ready. I know I'm ready to serve you. I know I'm ready to help you. I know I feel excited about working with you. Can we get going today? That's called an invitation. Versus, how are you feeling? Do you have any more questions? Okay, think about it. Let me know and get back with me. And it's okay. Sometimes, I do things that have, are big commitments. And so I don't mind if someone has to sleep on something to get back with me, but then I follow up. Do you see how it turns into one of those three things? So it's the generating leads, what we call lead generation. It's following up, and then it's making sure I've articulated the language. Are you ready to get going? Okay, the invitation process. Those are the three things I know that I'm always thinking about in terms of revenue generating activities. Make sense? Say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Can I get a triple yes? Okay. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page so that we know yes times three. Then yes, 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 Cheryl. I love that. Leona, I got you. Okay. Captain. Yes, I got you. Okay. Want to make sure you got it. All right. Now, here's another question that's popped up. So a question came up from Amy. I think Amy's on this call. And Amy, Barbara, I see you. Yes, 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 concur. Thank you, girl. Okay, Amy says to me, what is the best way to document your processes? So first, I'm going to give you two angles on this. The easiest one I can tell you is that everybody should write this down So it's wikihow.com, W-I-K-I, wiki, like Wikipedia, W-A-I-K-I, how, H-O-W.com. Now, when you go there, there's a whole bunch of stuff on that website. So when you click on the little magnifying glass, which is the search box, right, you will put one of two things. You could put standard operating procedures, okay, or you can just put SOPs, okay. The last time I looked, there were over 800,000 different formats of stuff for SOPs. So what does that tell you? Number one, there's no one way to write an SOP, and that's okay. That's okay. Go through, find what I want you, like set your clock, your phone for 15 minutes. Spend 15 minutes clicking and looking, and when the alarm goes off, you stop, and now you pick one. You just pick one. I know there's going to be, 797,000 other ones there that you didn't get to, and that's okay. You pick one from your 15 minutes and you get going. And it's not going to work perfectly, and that's okay. Now you've got at least some form of template that you can start using. Now, what you want to do is you want to now start documenting the processes of things that need to be duplicated and repeated throughout your business. So the easiest ones are to think about what are the things you find that you're doing over and over and over again. And those are the ones you start out with. Why not get them documented so that you can easily give them to someone else? Now, some of you might have somebody that does a lot of things over and over and over again. And whether she is an independent contractor or an actual employee doesn't matter. One of the things that you want to contract with her to do is that what she does is as she does something. So for example, when you're onboarding a client, right? I mean, everybody here should have at least one customer. I've received one. What is your onboarding process? What have you done in the past? Maybe this is a good time to be a little reflective. What didn't you do that you would like to start doing? What are some of those little special touches, right? I always talk about how, the experience today is the new competitive battleground. How can you make the experience, wonderful? What is there a custom card or a little, flower bouquet or a little something that you can send them to welcome them and to tell them how excited you are? Can you look at whatever your budget is and take between 2 and even 5% to start? You can grow it over time and allocate it for a really nice welcome. Not an email. They know they're going to get an email, but something. Maybe it is your, favorite. Maybe it's your book, but if it's not your book, it's one of your favorite books, right? That you just say, you know what? And the nice thing about, about books is you can go to Amazon, and if you're on Prime, you send it to them for free, right? With a really wonderful, little note from you, right? But just something that lets them know that you are, excited about that. So you can look at your processes, then you can document what you do, and then document what you don't do in terms of how you can make it better. That's also going to make you notice things that you're doing that may be a little sloppy, where things have fallen through the cracks, right? And you get them documented. And if you don't document them, you can have your project specialists, your project managers, your virtual assistants, your whatever it is that is doing things for you, so that if she or he move on, you've got things documented and well trained for the other person that's coming on board. Every great company does this, and you're never too small. What we do at eWomenNetwork is we actually even have screenshots, because we have our own proprietary technology and software. So we actually, when we're onboarding people or things like that, we actually have screenshots. And I train my managing directors every single month. And I do a call every month with them on just kind of the state of the union, what's coming, here's some success tips. And I always include screenshots, and we circle them. You can go in and you can add a circle on them or an arrow or whatever the case may be. And that is the form of what's coming from out of our processes called SOP, Standard Operating Procedures or Processes. But you can start out two ways just to make sure you got it. wikihow.com, number one. And number two, want to make sure that you know that you got to start small. Pick something relatively simple, right? And then get that done. You'll feel amazing, number one. And I think it will feel empowering, number two. Remember, you'll develop confidence as you do it. Confidence doesn't come first. You can't wait for confidence. You'll start waiting forever. Confidence is a consequence of courage. Can I just say that again? Confidence is a consequence of courage. Courage comes first. You've got to have the courage to start. Start small, just like before I did my first triathlon, right? At 52 years old, I started by just walking around the block, power walking around the block. I built up to jogging around the block. I then started jogging, for 4 minutes straight, and then walking, and doing this interval kind of thing. And before you knew it, I had built myself up to running a 5K, right? I mean, it's like, and I would do 4 minutes of a jog, right? And then I did 1 minute as a power walk, and then I did 4 minutes as a sprint. And I just did that until I built up for a 5K. Everybody that wants to accomplish anything significant, I promise you, always starts small. Okay? Well, I'm so clear now that even when I launch something new, we document the process. We meet and we document the process because I'm like, ooh, I'm learning something new. I'm going to have to train people how to do this. I want to always share with you. Anytime I learn something that works, I want to turn around and share it with you. Okay? All right. Got it? Do you got it? Give me a yes. Got it. Thank you, Amy. Amy, that was her question, so she's got it. Okay, good. All right, now let's take a breath. 2 big laser coaching sessions. I got a couple more questions. I think I've got like 4 more questions actually. So just want to make sure that while you're, assimilating all that, just want to let you know we got a brand new managing director taking over our Treasure Valley, Idaho chapter. Really excited about Alexandra Lundgren. So if you are in the Treasure Valley or Magic Valley area, the whole Idaho, Boise area, just want you to know you've got a new person to connect with. Reach out to her and say hello and welcome her, right, Cheryl? She said yes. Okay. Love this chat, Lynn, and I love that you're engaged with it. Also want to make sure that you know that we're still looking for always growing, always growing. In fact, I think, wink, wink, we've got a new chapter getting ready to open up maybe this week for Raleigh, North Carolina. Can't wait to announce that, but we're always growing. So I just want you to know that even if it's not for you, you might know someone. So if you're on this call and you're like, there's no chapter in my area, you might know someone. And we're looking Vancouver, Corpus Christi, San Jose, and Nashville. And when you make the introduction to Janelle with her email there at the bottom, it doesn't like snap like this, but if you give us some patience, usually within about 30 days, we've got things kind of easy to the process, easy in, easy out kind of thing. We'll send you a $200 referral fee. So should I be? I don't know. People are asking me. You should reach out to Janelle. Take a quick picture of Janelle's email. Janelle started out as a managing director in Phoenix, Arizona. She grew it and became a managing director of the year. She ultimately fit in when my managing director recruiter went on maternity leave. And then when she came back from maternity leave, she had an idea about something else that she saw was a hole in the business that she wanted to manage. And Janelle said, I would love to have that opportunity. And here we are. And I think we're something like, oh my goodness gracious, I think we are like maybe 8 years together. So just want to make sure you know, okay? And we'll send you a check. I love writing those checks every single month. Okay, let's dive into some more laser coaching. Wendy Kratzer, I think it is, out of Austin, Texas. How did you discover your dream for eWomenNetwork? Well, there are two ways. So I'm using this as an opportunity to talk about two ways in order to really kind of, I think, identify your dream. I did it the less common way. Okay, so the most common way is probably pretty obvious to all of us on the line, right? What happens is that people are really good at something. They are like, I love doing this. In fact, I would love to do this for a business, for my own business. A lot of times we get really good when we work for a company and we do something, and then we go out and we say, if I can do this for them, I can do this for myself. Not quite as easy as everybody discovers, but nonetheless, right? So that's the most common way. I'm really good at making pies. I make the best cherry pie. I'm going to open up a bakery kind of thing, right? Okay, so that's one way. Or I'm really good at creating websites, and so I'm going to open up and be a website developer, a graphic artist website developer kind of thing when I'm really good at something. Okay, the other way is when there is a problem that you're having and you can't find the solution. And that was my issue. When I moved from a small town, Midwestern town to Dallas, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this is the land of opportunity and plenty. Everything's bigger in Dallas, they say. And there were all these major companies, major headquarters, from J.C. Penney's to Frito-Lay to Texas Instruments. The list goes on. And I was like, I have the world, the world is my oyster kind of thing. The problem is when I started networking back in 1999 in Dallas, Texas, I was like, where are the serious business women? I felt like the other organizations that were available at the time were very social. In fact, I showed up by myself and I felt people looked at me like, what, you don't have a girlfriend? Don't you know? Didn't you get the memo? You always show up with your girlfriend. And I didn't know it. And it's like, people walked in together and they sat together and they had lunch together and they talked together, watched the speaker together, and they left together. And it was hard for me to break into conversation. And I walked away feeling like, I don't want to talk about how hard it was to find a parking spot, or, it's 113 degrees in Dallas in July and oh my gosh, I melted. And or the kids, it's really something to get the kids. All of that is great. And I'm a mother too, right? My son was 4 years old and my daughter was in first grade. Point of the matter is, I'm like, I wanted to build my business. I thought, if I am going to be away from my kids, if I am going to be away from my family, I want it to be really worth it. So where are those women? I could not find it in Dallas. And that's why I started eWomenNetwork. I was solving a problem that I was having. Okay, so you can find it either way. The point of the matter is, what you need to know is that once you start a business, you will eventually, whether you like it or not, going to have to step into not just being the doer anymore. Michael Gerber has a book out called The E-Myth, and he talks about, he calls it the executive, the manager, and something else. The executive, the manager, and I don't know, something else. There's one other role, like the implementer. So if you make pies, that's great. But you just making pies and opening up a bakery, you're going to find ain't going to cut it. More likely, you're going to have to hire other people. You're going to have to document, going back to the previous thing we talked about, right? You're going to have to document your recipe. You're going to have to teach other bakers how to do your pie, and you're going to have to start running the bakery, right? Running the business. And that sometimes is a really difficult shift, I think, for entrepreneurs to make. And I don't know anyone who's ever made it to the 7-figure mark and sustained it and hasn't had to go through that transition. Okay? All right. The next one that came up is from Cledra Gross out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And her question was, do you believe in focusing on fewer clients at a larger price or volume at a lower price? So really great question, isn't it? And the reality is, my answer is that you've got to find the one thing that really becomes your cash cow. I believe ultimately you're safest if you've got a combination of two. My fear at higher price programs, and we've got them, I mean, I've got $100,000 programs, is that you've got a lot of eggs in one basket. One thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden you're really feeling the pinch, whether it's an economical issue, the economy, whether it's a pandemic, whatever the case might be. So I believe that the most ideal business models are models that ultimately over time. Now, let me just make sure that I'm making real crystal clear. You have to pick one and make that your cash cow. Anytime you get to leverage mode, leverage meaning, okay, I've got my one product or service that's selling really well. Now I see my opportunity to expand and offer this other thing over here, whether it be a product or service. You have to remember that whenever you do that, that's called leveraging. Now you're now expanding or leveraging what you've currently done into something new. At some level, I promise you, you're going to go back to startup mode. That thing that you leverage becomes its own little startup. Yes, it has the advantages, right, of all of your lessons and some of all the other things that you've got in play. But it's still going to be, think about it, it's still going to start requiring time from you, right? It's still going to require resources from you, and it's still going to require dollars from you. So one of the things that I think I often work with my SOAR clients is getting them to zero in on the one thing that makes the cash register ring and start massively drilling for oil. Like just drill, work on it, strike oil. Now you can move into something else that's now going to take time, energy, and money, but now you have revenues coming in to help get that thing going. Does that make sense? So I have a combination of lower paying clients, right? And higher paying clients. But I need you to know that I only did eWomenNetwork chapters and members for the first 8 years of my 20 years in business. For the first 8 years, I had no coaching programs. I had no, obviously, digital marketing didn't even exist. I had no what we call celebrity science, which is our very high end team on one branding programs, not even one on one, it's team on one branding programs. I mean, I certainly didn't have my podcast network. I didn't have my speakers network. I mean, all of those things didn't start until after I had mastered my core business. And it still gets the majority of my time. It still gets the majority of my time because my members, I'm so clear. If you think about the target, right? The center, that bullseye, to me, I always put a heart because that's the heart of the organization and that's the members. And that still gets majority of my time. Okay? Helpful? Say you got it. Tell me that you got it. Okay. Oh, it's Innovator Manager Technician. Thank you. I knew it was. So it's Innovator Manager Technician. Actually, you know what? That's been updated. I need to call Michael. He's a really good friend. He wants to do a collaboration together because it wasn't Innovator back in the day. Innovator is a new word. I read that book, before it would see. In fact, they've got the E-Myth revisited, and I have the original version of it. So before it was revisited. So smart. See what he did? It's now new and improved. I love that. Okay. All right. Here's something that I want to make sure that you know about. Save the dates. There's nothing for you to do, but guess what? I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to do a Facebook challenge. How many of you on this call have been through my $1 Million series? I do this thing 3 times a year where for 30 minutes for 5 days straight, I interview another multi-million to billion-dollar entrepreneur, right? It's just 30 minutes. I call it Wake Up to Your Success. And people love it. It's always, thank you, Cass. People say, this is the thing that people sign up for way in advance. And Carmen, yeah, so this is taking that, only putting it on steroids. because I'm going to do a full 1 hour training plus add another 30 minutes for 90 minutes of a live Q&A, take your questions. So I just want you to, nothing for you to do right now other than mark it in your calendar, right? October 12th to the 16th for 5 days. I'm going to do a full hour training. It's going to come with, handouts, PDFs. There's going to be, an action to take every day, not a total time suck action, but the little things that can change everything kind of stuff. I always say it because it only takes one thing that can change everything. So we're going to focus on the little things every single day, right? And I'm going to be doing the teaching. I'm going to be sending you handouts. We'll do some homework. You'll post them on the Facebook live Q&A if you've got questions. But what I really want to do, we're moving it was fourth quarter now. It's time to really expand the impact that you want to make, not only this year, but what most people don't realize is I start in September, right, for planning for next year. And September is just a brainstorm to myself of things that I'm thinking that I want to do and asking my executive team what their ideas are. And then starting in October, we start making it happen so that I make sure that next year is better than this year, expanding your impact in the world. And so what I believe is part of the problem is that people can't expand their impact because they don't have enough money. It's not that they're not making money, they just don't have enough money. And so I want to talk about 5 things that I do that have really made the business profitable, right? You want to make money and have money left over. Like, I want you to pay yourself well and still have money left over. That's called profit. You're on the payroll, you're paying yourself, and you've got money left over on the day. And there are 5 things that I know that I can teach you 1 hour every day. And then if I'm not clear in that hour, you've got the opportunity to ask me questions. Okay. If you want to be invited, you need to send an email. Okay. And I'll make sure that you get the invitation to the challenge. All right, we've already got the page set up, but we're not accepting anybody on Facebook yet. So if you went in and you did, the Profit Priority Challenge, you'll see that it's there, but we're behind the scenes building everything, getting everything ready. I'm ultimately going to share with you everything that I did to run my challenge. Okay, so that you understand what I did and how it worked and what were the results and all of that kind of thing. So if this is something that you feel like, I could do 90 days and really 90 minutes rather, not 90 days, 90 minutes for 5 days to learn 5 critical things that'll make me more profitable, then you're going to want to sign up for this. Now we're going to send out an email, but sometimes emails get lost in the spam and the junk folders. So if this is something that you think you might want to be a part of, then all you have to do is send an email to info@eWomenNetwork.com, and in the subject line just say invite me to the challenge, and we'll make sure we create a separate list and we'll make sure we get that to you. Okay. And so it doesn't get lost somewhere else, because we'll say, you asked me to send you the information on this. Okay. I've never done a challenge before on Facebook. I've always driven everybody into a masterclass or a webinar or my $1 Million series. So I'm doing some other things and I'm documenting the whole process so I can teach you how to do it too. Okay. But let me get through the results and I will share the results with you. You'll get everything. I'll show you exactly how I did it. Everything. Okay. All right here. So thank you. Can't wait to hear the lessons learned. All right. Let's see here. A couple other things. Let me just say, Olivia Benson out of Salt Lake City, Utah. She says, how do you stay confident in what you want to be every day? Well, I think the truth of the matter is that's all part of a head management thing that you got to do. It's your stinking thinking. I talk about this. The only way that I can relate it to is grief. I've learned that you never overcome grief. You never really overcome it. You learn to manage it. Right? And what I've learned, like with my mother died 3 years ago. It's the greatest loss of my life. It still is very painful for me. But I've learned, I've had to ask myself, how do I manage this so that when I talk about her, I don't go into meltdown because it's still so painful. And I've learned how to manage it. What I've learned is the point of distinction for me is, when I remember her, I'm happy. When I miss her, I become sad. And so it is the energy that I give to each one. They almost are the same, aren't they? But they are different, at least in my heart, they're different. When I can remember her and think about things about her, it makes me happy. And the minute I go into, I miss that, I wish that, it just totally changes my energy. And I mean, I get, bam, 3, 2, 1, tears. I mean, I could just, I'm still heartbroken over it. But the same is true with confidence. I think the most important thing is you got to keep growing. You got to keep going. I mean, the most successful people I know are constantly growing. I mean, Laura Herring, many of you know, she runs a $50 million organization. She's been a huge, mentor. I met her by inviting her on my stage at the conference, became fast friends. She became my coach, girlfriend, and now she's coaching me again, right? Because I so trust her and everything. I mean, I'm going to spend 4 days with her in November. What she has taught me is every time I'm on the phone, she says, "Have you heard about this? Oh my gosh, I took a class on this." And when she comes to the eWomenNetwork conference, I have her there because she's somebody more successful than me to teach you. But whenever I'm on the stage, she's always in the front row. She's always in the front row with her journal learning. So confidence comes because you feel like you're in the know. You kind of understand. You don't have to know everything, but you've got to know where your next move. It's kind of like, look at me. I just said I'm doing a challenge. I haven't done a challenge before. I'm going to do a challenge. And I'm learning so much about it. We're documenting the whole process, right? And I'm going to show you how to do that. But I'm also going to throw some Facebook ads to it. So I need to share with you what that's like. But I also got to do a challenge. I can share with you how you can do Facebook ads in a profitable way. Yes, I can. That most people aren't talking about, right? So all of that kind of stuff is part of, your constant being willing. You have to be willing to learn something every day. And Jeff Bezos talks about this. There's a YouTube video of Jeff Bezos. He's being interviewed by his brother. Now you could put in the search, Jeff's brother interviewing, or Jeff Bezos' brother interviewing Jeff, and there will be a bunch of them. There's one of them in there, and I was doing it for my own personal growth. I didn't document it, I didn't save it, but he talks about it. His brother asks him, so what do how do you stay fresh? And he ends up talking about, he says, that's the biggest dilemma I think most, business owners have. They become such an expert that they think they know it all, right? And they become so resistant to change because things are going well. When the reality is they want to ride the wave, but we all know what happens to the waves. They crash. And it's counterintuitive when things are going really well to leave that and jump on from the wave to the mountain and start climbing. And it takes new skills. So the skills it takes to climb a mountain are very different than riding a wave. And so you've got to be constantly, that's what innovation is all about. And Steve Jobs, rest his soul, was so, I mean, if you just study the guy, it's just like amazing how I watched him go from iPods. I mean, Apple Computer had been around for a while, wasn't that big of a deal, but where he really made his mark is when he started getting innovative with the music and used that market share, right? Look what he did. He drilled deep, struck oil, was huge, and then he leveraged that to do the iPhones. And then from the iPhones, he did the iPad, and he always found the point of differentiation. I bought an iPad because you didn't have to take it out of your suitcase, your work case when you were traveling. Just taking that thing out of my, work bag was like, oh man, you mean this isn't considered a computer and I don't have to take it out? Sold. You know what I mean? One point of differentiation. That's really what innovation is all about. And if you gain confidence when you say to yourself, I'm always going to be a student. I'm always going to be a student. I'm going to constantly show up and learn. And I'm going to learn from people that are at least 10 times more successful than me so that I can ride on their coattails of all the years that they've had to make mistakes. Does that make sense? I mean, you're just collapsing your success time so that you're getting there so much faster. Okay. How do I incorporate self-care? It's a very easy answer. And the answer is this, and that is you Well, whatever you decide is important, you'll make time for. Let's just be real. I mean, honestly, whatever you decide is important, you'll make time for. Self-care comes in a lot of ways. For me, it comes in, I do something every day, either some form of meditation, and I need to get in a really quiet space. I don't sit in the lotus position. I don't go, I just got to get quiet, and I got to be by myself. And I prefer to have a candle. It could be daylight. There's something about a candle that burns. I almost always have a candle burning in my office. I can journal. I can journal. I have moved away from writing down 10 things I'm thankful for. What I've grown into is something even more powerful. And that is every time I notice there's something that I'm grateful for, I write it down. I just make a note of it. So it makes me aware to be open to things all throughout the day and not just 10 items that I hurry up and do in the morning or at the end of the night when I go to bed. But what if I just left my journal open and there it is? And throughout the day, I'm writing down things. As I walk by, I go, oh, yeah, yes. And I write down something, whatever it is for me that day. And so it doesn't so rhetorical, this list you have, my friends, my family, all of that's great. But what if it was for me talking to my daughter this morning and hearing my granddaughter, Tatiana, cooing in the background? I'm like, is that Tatiana? Put the phone up next to Tatiana for a minute. I love my daughter, but it was just so much because she sleeps so much being a newborn. The little things. The little things. Right? So it could be just going out and getting some fresh air. Sometimes the most you can do and have time for is going to the mailbox. But if you leave your dog in the house and you go to the mailbox, you'll come back. And my God, I don't know about yours, but Dash just wags his tail like he hasn't seen me for 10 hours. All I did was walk to the mailbox. And he's so happy to see me when I walk in the door. Maybe it's a little exercise. Maybe you can't get to the gym, don't even want to go to the gym right now. But what, I'm looking at right now, I brought my 15-pound weights to the office. Put them next to my credenza here, next to my phone. And pick them up and do a little bit. Just makes me feel like, I'm not counting. I don't know how many. And sometimes I only get my right hand because I'm using my left hand for something. But whatever. Doesn't matter. It just feels like I did something some days. Healthy eating choices could be your version. On Saturday, it was so busy last week. On Saturday, I just said to even my own husband, I just want you to know, from 10 in the morning to 8 in the evening, I'm going to be with Brianna. My son-in-law, Travis, went and did a triathlon. And I just wanted to be with Brianna and Tatiana, 3 generations for a whole day. Kim's like, that's great. I've got this, that, and the other to do. That was self-care to me. Just pick something. Pick 1, 2, 3 things and just do it. Do it. You will always, always, always have enough time if, in fact, you decide. It's not a matter of finding it. It's a matter of just saying, I'm doing this for me. Okay? All right. So here's the other thing I want you to know about. Are you ready? Drum roll. I'm doing a 3-day event. So as many of you know, I moved my conference this year to next year. And what I was struck by was the number of people who sent DMs and all this stuff about, so what are you doing? This eWomenNetwork is my way to really learn things that I have to implement for the next year. Are you not going to do anything? So I really, thought about it, and I had to get with the team and all of that kind of thing. So we've decided that I'm going to do a virtual event from your home. But this isn't like a virtual event like I'm going to be in front of my computer. No, I went out and rented a huge ballroom, a whole production crew. On a really big scale. I'm going to do 3 days with you, October 27th, 28th, 29th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, middle of the work week. And I can't do it for free, but I can do it for $197. I hired a film crew, a ballroom for not 3 days, but for 5 days, because we got to set it up the day before and we won't be able to tear it down till the next day for 5 days, right? Doing a massive event with myself and my executive team with Brianna, who does all of our digital marketing, Kim, who does all of our branding and celebrity science stuff. We are going to do massive in-depth training, and 7's my favorite number. So here are the 7 deliverables. So let me just tell you what they are very quickly. Number 1, if you do the free, or if you do the, what do I want to call it, the challenge, you don't have to do the challenge to do this, but you'll see that I've dovetailed them. So you have, I think, a little added advantage, but it's not required. There's already close to 100 people that are registered for this event. We have not even sent out one email yet. We've created our own website, yoursuccessreimagined.com. There's a way for you to register for $197 at eWN.news/success reimagined. Just want to make sure these are the 7 things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be talking to you about your key CEO skills, and I'm going to share with you 3 new ones that I have had to learn to be able to turn my company in March that basically fell through the floor being a live event company into an online platform. Okay, new skills that I have had to learn that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm also going to do lead generation. Right? I'm going to share with you the techniques that I use to gain thousands of followers without spending a dime on ads. We'll have some conversation about ads. I'll be transparent about that and what I've spent, but I'm going to tell you the 3 things that I do to this day, right now in September of 2020, that I do to this day that gains me thousands of followers, right? So that you can start doing it too if it works for you. I'm going to talk to you about niche, but I'm not just going to have you identify your niche. I mean, you've done that. I think COVID has given us an opportunity to revisit that and maybe redefine it a little bit. But what's the other side of the niche that nobody talks about? And that is, how are you? I mean, it's one thing for you to say, this is my ideal client. It's another thing to say, instead of you always being on the hunt for them, what do you need to do so that they find you? Those are the subtle things that we do at eWomenNetwork that I think often just gets overlooked by the masses. I'm going to make those explicit for you. Then we're going to be talking about real standout strategies for that, creating that, what I like to call that real wow factor, so that you're not just successful, but you become the go-to person, in your category, right? And there's no one person, but you can be that top, think about eWomenNetwork. There's tons of women's organizations. My job is to just be in the top 3 to 5, right? Okay, and then there's lots of money and millions of dollars to be made at that level. But there's things that people do that most people don't do in order to get there. So we'll talk about those. I am going to be talking about processes and systems, most importantly, the ones that you really need to focus on to get out of the weeds so that you're really doing the things that you love, and that is serving more customers, your customers and more customers, right? And if you don't want more customers, you're like, Sandra, I'm maxed out, I don't want any more. Maybe that's an opportunity to simply look at your business model and say, okay, so maybe it's not about more, it's about how do you just become more profitable in what you serve. When I was first working with one of my clients, Jennifer, what I did the first year that I worked with her, she didn't make one dime more in the whole year that she worked with me. Now you could say, well, that's not good, Sandra, except for this. She didn't have to work harder. She didn't have to go make more money. And yet she doubled her profit. What would that be like for you? If you're already wigged out, stressed out, maxed out, what would it be like if you didn't have to do any more, but you doubled your profit? Okay, we'll be talking about that. And then I'm going to talk about techniques for creating real engagement. What would it be like for you if the minute you put a webinar out before you've, like this event, I've just only talked about this. I talked about it in Colorado Springs. I did speak to this very directly in Colorado Springs. I also spoke about it on a summit, an online event in Burlington. And yes, there were people that registered in both of those events, but not compared to the number that are already. People find out about stuff and register because they know the quality of the experience. That hasn't happened by accident. I've documented exactly what you need to do so that you can start emulating it in your own business. Okay? And then, yes, we are going to have breakouts. We are going to do networking. And yes, I do have great sponsors like Dell, that kind of thing, and I'm going to be sharing prizes. And, one of our 9th value is all about happiness, self-care, and fun. Okay, so if you want to be part of this 3-day event, I don't know that I'll ever do another one again. I'm doing this 2 reasons. A, I moved my conference, and B, people asked me to do something. So I'm doing this. Next year, we've got our conference already scheduled for August. So if you've never been able to come to a conference, those are a lot more expensive. This is a way to do it. Okay? Just want you to know. And then finally, want to make sure that for free, one of the things, if you haven't registered already, is your Wise Women Insights. eWN.news/Wise Women. I'm telling you, it has a 44.8% open rate. People love it. Some of you are on this call registered from the Wise Women Insights, right? That's how well it works. And so, So the hours of the virtual event are basically going to be from 9 to 5. Someone said, what's the event? And there'll be breaks in between. Nobody can sit for those things, but it'll be from 9 to 5. Thank you for that. Okay. And then I might do some bonus things in the evening if you want to come, because I like to do that kind of stuff, but we'll see. But the core is from 9 to 5. Thanks for the question. Okay. Wise Women Insights. The reason why is because we put all kinds of free stuff on that newsletter. For example, we've launched our Success Institute. We have some of our own members. We've got Jill Lublin this Friday, who'll be doing a video on how to use publicity. These are for our members only. It's free. Anastasia Kudrez is doing one on, connect with your customers through video, which I really love. And then, of course, Dr. Debbie Silber out of New York, phenomenal woman that does a whole thing on betrayal, how your biggest crisis reveals your greatest gift. Phenomenal woman in what she does. And then Tracy Repchak is also going to be doing one on how to create an online program guaranteed to sell. Okay, and that's on October the 18th. So these are free for you, but you're going to find out about them mostly if you're on Wise Women Insights. Also want to make sure you know for free, if you need to get connected with our international group, and you do a search on Facebook, EWN International. Okay, that way you're really leveraging the full community of eWomenNetwork. And I'm going to close up by simply saying this: don't allow waiting to become your habit. I think that can be, you could be thinking about things and not understanding that that's become a habit. Thinking is not doing. You have to take action. You have to take action and trust that every action you take is getting you a step closer. The opposite of success is not failure. Success and failure are on the same side, right? It's just that success is a little bit farther down, and your little failures is the universe's way of saying, ooh, that big dream you got? You need to learn this lesson right now, because a little bit later on, when you're really big, you might see this again. And when you see this again, the stakes might be higher. So let's teach you now. It's the universe helping you learn a lesson that was in your blind spot. Right? So you have to take action. You have to embrace it all. I've just tripped forward. That's been the secret to my success. I just keep tripping forward. Your success is 100% your responsibility. You can't do it by yourself. I'm not saying that you got to go out and do it your own, but you got to take the responsibility to put yourself in the places so that you're rubbing elbows and have a seat at the table with the people that can help you most. Right? So just don't let waiting and thinking about it. You're not working on your business when you just keep thinking and thinking and thinking about it. At some point in time, you got to put a period to that thought, right? Action is the enemy of thought. Act, A-C-T, action changes things. Take a step. Let's get going. Let's climb together. Let's stay connected. No one makes it alone. So just so that you know, the third Monday, yep, even the week of Christmas, I always show up. So I'll be here. Hope you join me. If not, I'll be here. Doesn't matter. Okay. And then there's no attendance cap on ticket sales, is there, for the 3-day event? No, the more the merrier. Are you kidding? I'm prepared for there to be thousands. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We talked about a lot of stuff today. So you can go to my Facebook page right now, Sandra Yancey, EWN. Notice the E in Yancey, Sandra Yancey, EWN. What was your biggest takeaway? What was the thing you're committed to taking action on? That's the thing, right? That's who I want to hang out with. The people that are like committed to taking action. You got it? Go tell me, because I'm going to hang up here. I'm going to go heat up my coffee because my throat's a little dry. And I'm going to come right back to my desk, and I'm going to go to my Facebook page, and I'm going to see what you say and engage with you there. This is just a moment in time. I'm not going anywhere. You want to be successful? You value my perspective, the things I've accomplished, my track record of 20 years, right? Through the market crash, right, in 2008, through the SARS in like 2005 or 6, through the internet bust in the early 2000s, right? You understand success. You know how to shift and change. I think I've reserved the right to say I know how to do this after 20 years and everything that I've had to deal with. It's just prepared me for this one, which will prepare you for the next one. Because once COVID has gone away, guess what? There will be something else. Just a matter of time. Build your resiliency muscle. You got this. We got this together. Okay? Success isn't easy, but being broke is harder. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.